Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. Today's guest is one of the brightest young prospects in the Southeast wrestling scene, the prophet of professional wrestling, Angel of War. Please welcome Isaac Blair. Isaac, how you doing today, mate? You all good?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for the introduction. I really appreciate it. Thank you, mate.
No problem at all, mate. I'm glad to have you on here. I've actually had the pleasure of commentating your matches live.
Yeah,
Your matches now, and big fan. 100% mean that. I've said
good,
it
good.
on the corners,
Cheers.
I've said it to others. Yeah, definitely one to look out for. And a match I did recently commentate, it was DKW Academy's November Pain last month, and I think it was 24th November. And one match in the event, I'm not just saying it because I'm chatting to you, but I have said this since the show. Some might not like it, but it's my opinion. I thought you had the match of the night, and that's with the changes. Well, it depends where you are up to with DKW, but Jaden, another young prospect as well, and I thought the match was fantastic. Stole the show, and it was just the opener. Even like a match of year contender. It was actually the first time you've both been in the ring together. That's correct,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. First time in the ring together.
And I got to know, mate. So even though with limitations that you did have, because in the venue the ceiling's quite low, which may have, some might have been thrown off it. Because I know you got high flying moves. You didn't let it stop you. You two just did absolute brilliant work, technical, and told a story as well. But Isaac, talk me through that match. How did
Oh,
after it, even going into it, mate, as well.
oh yeah. I mean, Jaden's someone I've wanted to work for quite a while now. I've seen all of his stuff and that. He's a great guy and great in the ring. Really, really good wrestler. And if there's one of the matches that was on my list of ones I really wanted to do at DKW, it was Jaden. I mean, and yeah, we knew going into it we were going to have a couple limitations with top rope moves,
Yeah,
just due to the venue and that. But working together on that, we made it work, and it's probably one of my favorite matches I've had. I was really happy with it. I mean, um, I got to show a different side, I think, than some of the stuff I'd shown at DKW originally. More so, the high flying stuff. I got to do more of my harder hitting, striking kind of maneuvers that I've been trying to work in a bit more. Um, and Jane did that as well. We brought it, and yeah, as I said, one of my favorite matches.
pretty
A
sure
really
I
good.
saw two flying during the match. The audience in attendance, they absolutely loved it. I won't spoil it because the show will be out very soon, hopefully before Christmas. But honestly, just when it is uploaded, DKW Academy, just go and watch it. There's other matches as well that Isaac's had, tag teams and singles, but we will touch on that very shortly. Just before I do rewind the clocks, just because this has also happened recently, I want to talk about your series of matches with a friend of the show, Benny Nitro. Both
Oh yes.
Essex, for me, straight away, thumbs up for me, an Essex boy as well. Um, just I think you two both have something just quite similar ring, but also different personalities. But in British wrestling, you two are making a name for yourself. So Isaac, just tell me, how was he as an opponent? It's like the second match you guys have had now, and when can fans expect the third trilogy of matches?
Well, Benny is an opponent, tough opponent. I can say that for sure.
Mhm.
He's like myself. He can hit hard, and it was something I was looking forward to. I like the challenge of that type of match. I like the environment. I mean, our first one was the first time working in the ring together, having to figure each other out, how each other wrestle, what to
Yeah,
look out for, what moves I had to be aware of. Um, and it went well. I managed to take that one for myself, which I'm quite proud of. Um, it was in Southend as well, near Benny's hometown, and I
very.
managed to get the win on that one. But yeah, second time facing off, he was probably more cautious of some of the stuff that I could pull out and hit him with. Didn't have as much as a long match second time round. I think we went longer the first time.
Yeah.
Um, Pulled out more of the stops on the first one. Second one beat me with an AA. Yeah, I had to accept that one. But the third match, at the moment, not sure when it's going to be. I know it's coming very soon. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say, but I might or might not ask for a stipulation
Gonna
on the
ask,
match.
mate. Honestly, I can't take the words out of my mouth. I was gonna ask if you can. Okay, so you can't really reveal the stipulation.
No, not just
Uh,
yet.
Okay. Weapons involved? Can you give me
Weapons should be involved.
wicked weapons involved?
I reckon it will be. I'll give three options. It will either be street fight,
Yeah,
balls count anywhere, or normal no DQ match.
street fight. Gotta go for it.
Yeah.
Gotta rock out as well while you're fighting your Air Maxes. I mean, if that's what you wear.
Oh yeah. I'm
Oh,
gonna I'm gonna pull out some. I'm gonna turn up in the jeans. I'm gonna
yeah.
turn up there ready for a street fight.
Nice, nice.
It's gonna be great fun.
What's in the mug, by the way? Let's have a look.
Oh
Can't really see too well. Ah, fair enough, fair enough.
yeah,
Not
I'm the top G of wrestling. That's how it goes.
branding, man. It's important. It fucking is important. Honestly, mate, you gotta get your merch out there somehow. But I like
Oh
it.
yeah.
Got some time.
That's not even part of the merch. That's just my home mugs. It looks a bit narcissistic having pictures of me on the
I don't quite have a picture of me, but I've got the podcast logo and a mug that that I've had some time to make. But at the moment, for me, it's just Iron Brew Extra.
Okay, nice, nice.
It's the Scottish in me. But we're not going to talk about my Scottish heritage and my family tree. What we're going to do is find out, Isaac, what got you into wrestling. Let's talk about your journey into this, what we were discussing earlier, how you got there. So let's rewind the clocks and find out what made you a wrestling fan in the first place.
Cool, cool. My earliest wrestling memory would be watching Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn on TNA Impact. No, it would have been just TNA at the time. And I vividly remember I was only like, I'd have been so young, maybe 6, 5, 6, something like that. And I just remember Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn having this no DQ match. Oh, I mean, growing up, I was massive TNA fan. My dad used to love Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I grew up as a Jeff Hardy fan my entire life, doing stupid things in the garden, as you would have expected. I mean, so yeah, first memory was that watching Jerry Lynn, Rob Van Dam in No DQ, fell in love with it. I went to a show by me, and it was actually the Knights. It was Zach Zodiac. Um, I think Soraya was there, and that I'm from Essex, and that was one of the local shows at the time. And after seeing it live as well, I just knew that's what I wanted to follow. And every week it'd be watching Spike TV, watching TNA on the TV. As I said, that's what I grew up with. I never really watched much WWE. I
Yeah.
bought the DVDs, like the Hardy Boys Backyard DVDs, and I would always get like the Shawn Michaels DVDs. They were my
Yeah.
go to things to watch. And I remember watching them on like this video player, this really really old fashioned video player. Probably not even that old
Oh
fashioned,
my
but
God, you're
for
going up
me
to
it
old
was.
fashioned video player. Oh my God.
Oh, um, so that's they were my inspirations growing up.
Yeah.
I remember one story was at my school, at my primary school, we had a dress up as your heroes day, and people were supposed to come in as like police officers and like what they wanted to do in the future.
Yeah.
And there is a picture, if I can find it, I'll send it to you, of
Oh,
me going in dressed as Jeff Hardy, and I'm like,
did you do the
shit.
full makeup?
Oh, full makeup, vest, cardboard WWE championship,
God.
the cargos. I had the armbands on,
Oh yeah, the weird armbands. Like it's
the weird armbands,
look at the
exactly.
armbands. Like what did you do?
Socks, socks, long like female socks that we cut
Yeah.
holes out of and turned into armbands. That was how it used to go. And I remember the teacher saying to me, like just staring at me, had no idea what I was dressed as, and she was asking me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm dressed as a wrestler."
Yeah.
I had long hair at the time as well, so proper Jeff Hardy image I was going for. And I was like, I'm a wrestler. She's like, that's not a proper hero. And I was sitting here, and I still remember that to this day. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, Jeff Hardy will always be my hero.
You got the last laugh, mate, because you are doing it.
But that's a big thing. I think you've got to think of in wrestling. Like a lot of people might when they first start and that might want to be like somebody.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it in fighting with my family. They said it best was like be the first you, like be the first version of yourself. Be you. Don't try and be Jeff Hardy. Don't try and be Shawn Michaels. Try and be the first version of yourself. Try and be the first. Like I'm trying to be the first Isaac Blair.
Yeah.
What I think of a lot is I always try and be my favorite wrestler. Like I want to be what my favorite wrestler would be. And
Definitely.
that's how I try and think of my character.
You can incorporate stuff. That's absolutely fine. Like some of the greatest wrestlers of all time, they've incorporate bits from other wrestlers, like even Hulk Hogan, Billy Graham, Ric Flair,
Yeah, yeah,
Bobby Rogers, and Shawn
yeah,
Michaels.
exactly. I mean, exactly. That's what I mean. When I think of it, it's like I don't want to be seen as trying to be like somebody else. I don't
Mm.
want to be seen as always trying to be like whoever. I want to be seen as like being myself, like being the first version of myself, like we were saying. But yeah, by all means, definitely take inspiration from things. And I mean, even when I do the blockbuster as my finisher, I always go for the beginning swanton bit just as a
Yeah.
little ode to Jeff Hardy because I love how he does the swanton. And but I've put my own twist on it. I always try and I love innovative moves. I love like coming up with my own maneuvers and that and trying to do things that other people haven't really seen. I know people have done the blockbuster before, but I've tried to add my own version onto it and things like that.
Yeah, man. Like add your own spin to it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
ask you, how many ladders did you go through when you was going through this Jeff Hardy phase?
Oh, so growing up, I remember being like 8 or 9. This must have been now a few years on. I had the trampoline in the garden. I used to get there's we have a step ladder,
Yeah.
and I would climb on the top of the step ladder. And I'm an only child, so I had this morph suit. It's like a wrestling dummy. It was a morph suit with loads of polystyrene balls in, and I would have it on the trampoline, and I would have like shields, like medieval shields, to be tables,
Yeah.
and I'd climb on the ladder and swanton into the trampoline onto the wrestling dummy, and oh, I broke my nose like twice growing up on the trampoline from kneeing myself in the face trying to do 450s and
Yeah.
things like that. But ladders, not went through any ladders. I've jumped off of a ladder onto another ladder. It didn't break. I just got hurt.
Fucking
I went through a door. That is one I can say. I went through a door.
explain. Go for a door, mate. Explain this, please.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know how many people know about it, but me and my friend Patrick, a really close friend of mine, I went to school with him, grew up with him. He loved wrestling the same as me, and I used to invite him over to my house, and we go out in the front garden. We had this backyard channel called British Backyard Pro Wrestling, and one day we did a ladder match, and my mum had got rid of a door, so it
Yeah.
was out in the front garden. I was looking at it the whole day, and I was like, I want to go through that door.
It's gonna
I
happen.
always wanted to be
It's
the
gonna
one that
happen.
went through it. So the end of the match, you're on the ladder, slugging it out, and then he hits me with one. I just off the ladder, back bump through the door.
Yeah.
I did put a little, like a really thin mattress underneath it to save the back of my head. But it's one of my favorite experiences. I mean, like I love that kind of thing. I've never been too much of not really complained much if I've got hurt, and that I'd rather
Yeah.
just do something I thought was awesome, which was probably really stupid at the time, but I enjoyed it while it lasted.
You wouldn't change a thing. That's the main thing.
Mm,
And it's made you
definitely
who you
not.
are, hasn't it?
Exactly. It's made me who
Get
I am.
out
I
of pure
mean,
enjoyment because you love wrestling and
exactly.
you continue this love and you would eventually go on to become a professional wrestler. And I want to know, was there a specific moment, a match, or just as you gradually grew into your wrestling fandom, you knew that you wanted to become a pro wrestler?
That's a really good question. I think probably I really liked um, Hardy's versus Edge and Christian versus the Dudley Boys.
Yeah,
That's what I used to want to replicate, that kind of crazy wrestling, that kind of style. That's when I used to watch and I would act it out because it was the only thing I could see myself doing. Like, I mean, I've never really found much other than wrestling that I've truly, truly loved the way I love wrestling and I've truly wanted to commit to. And I can sit there and focus all of my attention on something. And that one thing that I can do that on is wrestling.
yeah,
And watching things like that just really, really kind of started that fire in me to believe that 100% I could be a wrestler. And I still do it now. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. Like, everyone's always said to me, oh, Isaac, you need a backup plan. Oh, Isaac, oh, if you're not a wrestler, you need a backup plan. And I've always thought, well, it's all right having a backup plan. It's all right doing that. But if there's something you truly love and you truly want it, I think you've got to put 100% into that.
yeah.
And that's the same with my wrestling.
At the same time, it might get another 5, 10 years, 15, 20, whatever. And you look back like, fuck, I wish I did that. Having that regret and, life is about the choices that you make.
Yeah,
I've tried the wrestling thing, and I accept it wasn't for me. Doesn't help that I'm lazy, but the fact that you could have gone on, fair enough, you might have had a happy life, but the back of their mind, what if? What if?
well,
You don't
exactly.
have
Yeah.
that back. You don't have that back of mind because you are excelling in the ring. But I do want to not necessarily wind the clock, but I want to get into where you would begin your professional wrestling training. Where is it that you would train, and how did you discover the wrestling school?
Right, yeah. So I luckily found Dropkicks, DKW.
Hmm.
Um, I would have been about 15, turning 16 at the time. Before I actually started wrestling, I got into Muay Thai and some MMA
Oh,
and
nice.
amateur wrestling
Yeah,
because at the time I was too young to join a wrestling school. And I've always liked MMA. I've always liked UFC, that kind of thing.
yeah,
More so the older I got, and I would train really hard all week, doing all these different martial arts and that. Because I was thinking before I go to wrestling, I'm gonna dedicate myself to doing a Muay Thai fight
yeah.
and that. And I did do it for years. I did like about 3 years, trained Muay Thai, BKK fighters, really good
That's sick,
gym.
man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I loved it, but
Yeah,
eventually I become to 16, and at that time I was about 60 kg, really skinny. And Lucas offered me the opportunity to come down and train. He's like, okay, you've got a couple months till you turn 16, but come down and train. If
yeah.
you're fully dedicated to it and that your mum's okay with it, come down and train. So I did. I went down and still remember my first day stepping there, meeting Lucas, taking the first bumps. I remember Danny Chapman was the first person to show me how to bump and do everything properly, not kill myself like I'd been doing in the back garden.
No spare
Um,
doors lying around in Perfleet.
no doors, surprisingly, no doors. So I got there, did my bumps with Chapman and that, learned it, and I remember doing a little sequence with Champagne Charlie, JJ,
Down to
and
former champ. It's out there. We can say now. Don't worry.
former champ. Yeah, so wrestling, like doing it properly. Like even though this wasn't in ring,
Mhm.
doing it properly, like actually just getting to experience like how it works behind the scenes
Yeah,
and how to actually professionally wrestle and what I didn't know and the amount that I didn't know was shocking. Like there's so much that goes into it and so much hard work that I would never have realized needed to be put into making a good craft or a good match or a good segment.
mm.
And I instantly fell in love with it. Instantly wanted to go back. Went back the next week. Did my first in ring session. Oh, I still remember running the ropes. Oh, first time running the ropes, I just felt so awkward. I felt like I'd learned how to walk all over again. Like having to make sure I got the right amount of steps and everything was
Yeah,
one of the most awkward, embarrassing moments. Was learning to run the ropes for the first time. I have a gymnastics background. I did gymnastics growing up as well, and I used to go to a parkour club. Never because I wanted to do either of them sports. Always just to get the opportunity to jump off something onto a crash mat and do like 450 shooting star press, that
yeah.
kind of thing. Only reason I did them sports. No, I'm so grateful that I did
I
though.
can say
Helped me out
it's
so much.
fucking paid off. You know, if anyone has
Yeah,
seen my guest and after this interview, you can see the matches that he's had. They're on YouTube, and you can see just how well skilled he is. And with these skills, I was unaware of that I've just discovered myself. And you've been able to incorporate them into your wrestling, mate. Honestly, it's fucking paid off.
thank you, man. Thank you. I really truly appreciate it. So yeah, I did that. It really helped out. As I said, first in ring session, run the ropes goofily. Um, I remember I just wanted the opportunity to jump off the top rope. I think a couple sessions later, we're practicing in the ring, and I just went onto the top rope, and I was like, I wonder if I can do a swanton. I just did a swanton onto the ring, and I was like, oh, okay, that sucks way worse than I thought it would. I was like, I know to save that for actual matches. Yeah, training there, I couldn't thank them enough. Like honestly, Lucas, everyone down at
Yeah,
DKW, Matt Ball, Tony Kemp gave me so much feedback and so much advice on my wrestling and trying to help me with strikes and tech and certain parts that I couldn't quite grasp as well as other things. And can't thank him enough for that. He really helped me put in the work. The nemesis, Tony Kemp.
I was a bit shocked
But
by that.
yeah,
But he's a nice person. But
yes, yeah, he's a very nice person. And yeah, as I said, Lucas and the others down there again can't thank them enough either. And thank you to Lucas for giving the opportunity to start. And I would definitely recommend it to anyone that wants to start in wrestling, anyone that wants to wrestle in general to
especially in the
go
Essex
down to
area as
the.
well. And just a quick side note to shout out Lucas, who is taking a break from wrestling. This is public knowledge, so I'm not spoiling anything. He's put it out there. So, just what he's done for DKW, you're an example of that, and, a result and a product of the DKW Academy. There's a
Yeah,
lot of good talent coming out there, and he's, got a big hand into as to why it's working at the moment.
Yeah. And the match he had with Jaden the other day,
I can't wait to see it. I unfortunately wasn't able to commentate. I did get invited to do it.
it's definitely one to watch. Definitely
Oh
one to watch.
God, man! But I did see you had to squeeze in the George Michael thing. Last Christmas, fuck's
It
sake.
was one of the matches I can safely say that's popped me so much to see. Like probably one of my favorite matches I've seen live. Genuinely, I can say that that match like had me out of my chair. I was shocked.
I can't wait to watch, man. Can't wait to watch it. So you discussed your training and run the ropes and just it not being, yeah, an eye opener, but you enjoyed it at the same time. You went back for more and to learn more. But I want to know, Isaac, when did you make your in-ring debut? The first ever match that you had in front of a crowd.
Right. So, first match I had would have been on a mock show that DKW do. They did mock shows in front of like family and friends, so other people's parents, other people's family members that come and see them. And I think it was I used to be in a tag team, the youth project, and it was me and Dylan versus uh Big O and Ben. I want to say that was my first match, and that was in front of just family and friends and that. And I remember going out there, and I loved every second of it. I'd never taken a German suplex before. And Big O was like, "Oh, I'll give you a German." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay," and I just loved it out there and that. And yeah, that was my first actual experience doing an entire match. And then my actual in ring debut in front of a paying crowd was February against the Big Steppers at the Balmoral Centre in Westcliff. It was Youth Project versus Big Steppers. And so, yeah, Harry, McDonald, and Ryan, great guys. Again,
Mm.
can't say anything bad about them. Always been really nice, really helpful to me. And they, again, made it so easy for me to make my debut. And really enjoyed that match. Really great fun. I can't think of one thing that went wrong in it. It was just it gave me a perfect opportunity to showcase what I could do and show the people what I was about and what I could bring to the ring. And yeah, can't thank Harry and Ryan enough for um, being there to give me that opportunity.
So you've been doing this for less than a year.
Pretty
Like,
much, yeah,
fuck, man. I didn't. There's things I'm learning. Like everyone's like, I'll do research, but it's not as fun as I have seen the stuff and I'm aware, but I've not really had enough time to properly talk to you.
yeah,
I think sometimes you may or may not be going for your matches because it's not predetermined. It's real, but yeah, sometimes just haven't had the chance. We said hi and stuff, but for me,
yeah,
the conversation, well, I'm just getting to know you as well. But I'm genuinely surprised that you've only been doing it for less than a year. I mean it in a good way, by the way. Just
yeah.
how you seem quite
Thank
polished ready, and the fact you're already doing Wrestle Force as well, DKW Academy. You're filling up your schedule and just putting on great matches. What I've never really asked this question, but I want to ask you, what does it feel like when you see yourself, your image on a match graphic?
you. That's it. That's a good question. I mean, it's it's interesting. Sometimes you absolutely hate it and despise it.
Yeah,
Sometimes I have had the worst pictures of me to exist on match graphics, and I've sat there and I've just thought, "Fuck this!" Pretty much.
yeah,
I've despised the
yeah.
image. I wanted it wiped
Just
from the
change
face.
it,
It
face
was cool
down,
that I was
face.
on a graphic, but it's the worst picture ever.
Yeah,
And then there's been other times, recently for like Wrestle Force, I had some new pictures done
yeah,
with Matt Raven. Great photographer, like
yeah. Good
so
reference.
sharp. I'm so happy with those pictures. Um, and it was like on my one against Mark True, I think it was, and seeing myself on that graphic and the big match feel as well that it was, I was so happy with like looking at that. I was like, oh, that's cool, and I promoted it and I showed it to all my friends and everything. And that was one that made me feel like, oh, I am a wrestler
Yeah.
because I could see myself from the type of image that I was trying to project for the other people to see, and getting to see that in action on an actual match graphic was really cool.
No, that's cool, man. I've never really asked that. I've just think to
Yeah,
myself,
fair
I've
enough.
seen more posters in the local area, especially in Essex, from Radio South End, you can see like various Wrestle Force or
Yeah,
DKW, or even, shout out to Bay Nitro, Project Wrestling on social media. I'm sure that'd be a good show. Um, but I want to know, just dissect your character a little bit. The Angel of War, the prophet of professional wrestling. Explain that to me.
right. Yeah, so I'm quite religious.
Hmm.
That's one thing. I'm Christian, and I like the imagery and that. That's why I got the cross on my shorts, wear the cross to the ring,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. It's one of my things.
The
Believe it.
wings on the
It gives
jacket.
me. Sorry.
Wings on the jacket as well.
Yeah, yeah. I believe it gives me an element of protection in a way. I mean, that's why I've always had like the cross on my gear. The whole Angel of War stuff. Because originally I started as the Prophet of Professional Wrestling. Back when I used to do my backyard matches, I still was Isaac Blair.
Yeah.
My um yeah, so I was Isaac Blair. I had a more like dark. I wanted to be a heel back then. That was my whole thing. I wanted to be evil. Um, and then obviously starting, I was a babyface, etc. And I was thinking, what's something I could use as a name? I saw somewhere profit something, and I was thinking like profit in money, like profiting, and they're
Yeah.
profiting. I'm profiting from being a wrestler. But then I was like, no, if I call myself the prophet of professional wrestling, it's as if I've been sent to give these great matches and to win my matches. I'm prophet of professional wrestling. I'm the next best thing. I'm trying to spread this message of these really good matches. That's where I come up with the whole profit of professional wrestling idea.
Yeah.
And then Angel of War, um,
Would that be
it
linked to
was
your religious?
yeah, yeah, kind of. I had the I've got the wings on my gear.
Yeah.
Obviously I've got them on the that's kind of my logo in a way now, the downwards wings, because everyone seems to have anyone that has wings seems to have the upward ones, and I was like flip them over, had the
Oh
downward
yeah, yeah,
sequence.
yeah, yeah. That's
So I
true.
was like, that could look cool. And since then, I've stuck to that. And um, I had a bad theme song at one point. Um, it's pretty much wiped from the face of the planet now. We don't
No,
talk
it's
about
not.
that
It's still
song.
in your head, mate. It's still in your
It's
head.
still in my head. Oh yeah, it's still in my head. Pains me every. I wake up and just hear it in my brain.
What
But
is that
no,
actually a known song or is that a custom song?
custom song. It was AI. It was an AI song. It was
Oh my
awful.
God,
I
mate.
nearly used it on one
Right.
camp
Get
show
find the
once.
photo and the song if you can find it and send it to me, please.
I will. I will. If I can find it. I was going to use it once on a camp show. I hated
Yeah.
it. But from that, I was like, oh, Angel of War sounds pretty cool as well. I always liked Sabu growing up.
Yeah.
And he's the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal Sabu. And I was like, having three nicknames sounds so much cooler than one. It makes you seem even more important. So I was like,
Yeah.
let's think of another nickname. And Angel of War was what come to mind, and it seemed to stick. I mean, the fans. I got that the other day from a fan, and
That's got that.
they seem to really like that name, so I kept it with me. And
Yeah.
at some point, I'll probably add a third nickname, but we're still thinking on that one.
I love it, man. You're already aware of marketing and branding and yeah, mate, get the queen in. Get that
Exactly, exactly.
profit, if as you were saying earlier.
Literally profiting. Yeah.
No, wicked man. Just a few more questions for you, mate, and then I'll let you enjoy the rest of your day. Evening for us because we're both in Essex. So, yeah. Um, Isaac, do you have a wrestling bucket list?
Yeah, that's a really fair point. So I really love AEW. AEW is probably my favorite wrestling company. As I said, never been greatly big into WWE. Started watching AEW in 2020, I think it was. I'd taken like a bit of a break from watching wrestling. This was like secondary school
Yeah.
time, and I had other things going on. And I remember flicking the TV on one day, and it was Cody Rhodes versus Wardlow in a cage match, and he was doing the moonsault off the cage, and I was like, it was really cool. And they had blood and everything, and I do like my blood in wrestling. I like a bit of violent wrestling. Um, so I fell in love with watching it, and I fell in love with all the characters and the style of wrestling that it was. Um, Around this time as well, I started to bring myself back into the world of wrestling. Got really into Japanese wrestling. I really love New Japan and like old All Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah stuff, like old Pro Wrestling Noah with people like Kenta, Mitsuharu Misawa, people like that, like the old Japanese wrestling.
That's going back a little bit, that is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's where I get some of my stuff from. That's what inspires me for some of my moves and that. And I mean, so I definitely want to wrestle in Japan. That's one of my things I definitely want to tick off my bucket list.
Mhm.
Wrestling in Japan. I'd love to make it to AEW. That's probably the top of the bucket list. The top dream is to make it to AEW or New Japan. Um, I'd love on the British scene. I'd love to obviously wrestle for Rev Pro and Progress. They're both on my bucket list. Opponents is another thing I'd say. I'd really like to on the British wrestling scene. I'd like to wrestle Connor Mills. Um, I would like to wrestle people like Luke Jacobs, Oku.
Yeah,
Um, who else have we got? I'd like to wrestle Zach. Obviously, he's in Japan. I think that'd be pretty cool. Oh, Kenta. Kenta's one of my dream matches that I could do like over here.
mm.
Um, in general, like if it was possible, I'd love to wrestle Jeff Hardy. Obviously, um, I'm not sure if that one's going to happen though.
I don't think he's going to retire anytime soon, mate. Like, I've
Oh
seen
no, he's getting older though. He's
TNA,
getting up. He's
and
getting
he
up in the
still
years.
looks like okay, you can see like the wear and tear, but
Yeah,
still is able to do the big spots that the
crazy stuff.
players.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the matches
That's
from
probably
at
my
Baron for
top
Glory.
dream
It's like,
match.
fucking hell, he
Oh,
don't give a fuck.
unreal, absolutely unreal. I mean, him and Matt still going at whilst getting up in the years is crazy. Much respect to them, man. Like, yeah, great tag team. But yeah, that's probably my biggest goals for wrestling is um New Japan, AEW, Wrestling Japan in general. And then get on to like the bigger shows over here necessarily. Um, and yeah, that's probably my dream opponents in a way. People I'd like to wrestle, or who I can think of who I'd like to wrestle right now in time. Probably be them few.
No, wicked man. So obviously, that's a wicked list of talent there. Jeff Hardy, Oku, Luke Jacobs. Some of them I've only been recently paying attention to.
Yeah.
I watched them years ago, man. Pro, I said quite a lot, and you still he just come through, and I think Osprey was kind of doing more Japan stuff, and Oku
Yeah.
a bit more, work his way up, and he's kind of where he's at now for a reason because he's really good. I really like
Oh,
him.
I'd love to wrestle Jay White, um, Okada would be another one.
Yeah.
Just thinking of Japanese wrestlers. Hiromu Takahashi, the one with the pink hair. I think that'd be a really cool match. Love to do that. They're probably my three other ones I've just thought of having that conversation.
I think that they're kind of making up for not putting the belt on Jay White last year. We're giving him a little bit of a push again,
Oh
but
yeah,
I think they're
oh yeah, and
kind
he
of
deserves it. He's so good, so
he's
good. I
really
love
good.
his style.
Good promos, got great look. Technically, he's fucking excellent. Like
Oh, so good.
big
Yeah,
fan of him. But I was
he's
just
unique as well. He's unique.
the fact that MJF that match they had it was all over the place in the booking, the build up to it. I was like, this is shy. I kind of wanted just to give the belt to Jay White and MJF
Yeah,
take a break for a bit and become back as a heel, but it is what it is.
yeah.
I'm not gonna moan. Oh, I always find an excuse to moan. But Isaac, I'm gonna put an end to this interview in this chat. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. I'm sure I'm gonna see another show soon next year.
Yeah.
But is there anything you want to promote? Any wrestlers you want to call out? Or anything you just want to say and get off your chest? The opportunity is yours now because we are done with this chat. But it's been a blast, mate. It's absolutely flown by.
Thank you very much, mate. I do really appreciate the opportunity. I've got a couple matches coming up. I've got Jack Landers this Saturday for WrestleForce. Um, it will be in Wickford. I believe you'll be able to find that on my social media page. I do have
That's
a few.
Sunday, isn't it?
Sunday. That's it. Sunday.
Yeah, sorry.
Um, Sunday, the 8th of December, Wickford. Me versus Jack Landers. Um, I will be on Prodigy. That is something that I can say. I will be on Prodigy.
Oh, nice,
If
nice.
you
You're
want
gonna be making
me
an
there, yeah.
appearance. Love it.
Um, and
I'll be at that show. I'll see you there.
cool. I'll see you there then, mate. And yeah, look out for what comes up in the new year. I should be quite busy, which is
And if
good
they
to.
want to keep up to date with what you got lined up, because it's still mental, like it's your first professional year. Not even a year, by the way, February. I know training, I'm not going to include the training, but in-ring debut, February, it's what, 5th of December at time recording, you know.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, mate. But fair play to you, mate. Like 10 months and you are where you are already. Like, it's just scratch the surface. But where can the fans find you on social media, mate?
At Isaac Blair. Um, Isaac underscore Blair, I think it is. Yeah, Profit Professional Wrestling. It'll be that on Instagram. And that on Twitter. I want to say that's where you can find me. Underscore Isaac underscore Blair.
Brilliant, my man. Thank you for coming on, mate. It's been a blast. I'll see you on the 27th then.
I'll see you on the
Wrestling.
27th.
There's a few tickets left if anyone wants to check them out. Find them on social media. But you can also find me on social media in my social media handles, which are in the description below. Follow the Prophet of Professional Wrestling, Angel of War, Isaac Blair on his social media handles. If you did make a note, then they'll be in the description below also. But for now, everyone, before I depart, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and have a great weekend. Take care, everyone.
Take
Peace.
care.